leadership role. Daniel, can you speak to that?
What draws me to be in a leadership role is being able to know that I've helped others make a change, make a difference, not only within themselves, but potentially within their communities, even just within their small, even if it starts within their own friend group, within their own families, just making sure that positive change is made and accounted for.
Thank you. Lauryn, can you share with us why you were drawn to leadership?
Personally, I think I was drawn to leadership just because I had a lot of mentors or different people that impacted me, and they were leaders in their own way. So the way that I talk about the people that impacted me is the same way that I would want someone following to talk about me.
So on that thread of people who influence you, we're going to start with Marcus. Marcus, can you share with us some of the people who have made the greatest impacts along your journey?
First, shout out my grandmother and my grandfather in the background. Came to watch me today. Two really solid people in my life. My coach, football coach, Julian Riley. Basically, they're just three amazing people that do things that they don't have to do for other people. Grandmother and grandfather always break their neck to be places like here and stuff like that. And my coach, real good financially, and came back in the deep depths on the south side of St. Pete to help out kids like me and all my other teammates and people in this facility.
Thank you. How about Sophia? Can you tell us some of the individuals who have been really influential in your life and why?
My family is sitting over there. It was his coach as well. I would say that just family in general, I've been grateful to come up in a family that has always supported me and put me on the right path. And every time I come around them, it's, oh, what is your future? What are you doing next? And I think that having a good community behind you, and if you don't have that family, making sure you have the right friends that can guide you. And I think that is what really has been helpful for me personally.
Thanks for sharing, Sophia. Alma, I know when we spoke briefly about this, you mentioned how some of the relationships that you formed have really helped you along the way in carving out your own path. Can you share with us what some of those influential relationships are and why they're so important for you, Alma?
Some relationships I've carved out is with my mentors in middle school. I created a relationship with my teachers. Following along, I not only disconnected from them, I continued to have a connection with them, creating a sense of community with them. And they gave me leadership roles and offered me how to be a mentorship since they've been in the same position as I was.
Thank you. It's really important to have individuals at your school that you're able to connect with. And we have a lot of faculty here today who we'll give a shout out to who are here supporting the youth. So thank you for being here today and your continued efforts and helping to lead the way. All right, so we are going to move on to the next question. And we're going to get down to what is it that you look for in a leadership opportunity? So if I were to call you with an opportunity, how would you go about vetting that opportunity to see if that is the right fit for you? Lauryn, can you speak to that?
If I was presented an opportunity, the first thing I would do is see how it would impact me, and then how I can use everything that I gained during that opportunity to go ahead and impact someone else in the long run.
Daniel, are there specific things that you look for to find alignment with leadership opportunities?
Certain things, just kind of creative freedom to not only allow yourself to create something engaging for who you're working with, but allowing them to stay engaged. For example, I've been a part of Men in the Making, Community Tampa Bay, the Woodson Warrior program, all programs that allow for just flexibility in their work.
Daniel, if you could grab back the mic, you mentioned Woodson Warriors. So opportunities like that, what is it that you gain from being involved in those sorts of leadership opportunities?
To be completely honest, it's a tiny bit of an ego boost, honestly. But overall, it's a special feeling to know that your work and efforts are recognized by your community, by your peers here, and truthfully, it's an honor.
Alma, is there anything you want to add to that as far as what it is that you get from being involved in leadership roles?
What I get is knowing that I'm being a voice from the Hispanic community or people of minority. It's an honor to be able to voice their opinions and ensure that other students also feel that they're empowered to be able to use their voice within their community and actually bring change within this nation.
Representation is so powerful. Thank you for bringing that up on the stage today. So what is it that you believe, and we'll start with Lauryn, what is it that you believe are some of the supports and or resources that young people need in order to be successful?
I would say the biggest one is representation, just because it's like when you see people in the positions that you want to be in the future, when you see someone that looks like you or they have like the same background as you, it makes you believe that me too in the future, I could be in that same spot that this person is in. And I also think another one is, when I was growing up, I was always taught it's not who you know. I mean, it's not what you know, it's always who you know. So you need to make sure you have a good mentor or somebody behind you that's really going to support you along the way.
Sophia, can you speak to that a little bit? In your experience, what are some of the things that you found helpful? You're a 16-year-old who has started college early. That's quite something, an accomplishment to be proud of. What are some of the things that helped you along the way?
I think that personally, I don't really have a big sister, but I have a little sister, so I've always been the older one. But I have found older friends that have kind of taken that role for me, and I think that for like young girls specifically, having an older female that looks like you and that you can relate to is very important so that you can find relation within them.
Thank you. Dr. Dyson, in your experience, is there something that you're able to share with them around some of those supports and resources and the things that are helpful as you're looking for those opportunities and trying to find the right ones?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm just very impressed with all of these young people. You know, I feel like the fellows that talk like this. You know, very, very articulate and very sharp and very insightful. A couple things. First of all, when obviously these young people have taken seriously the notion of preparation, right? Every one of them has been rigorously prepared for the opportunities that have been presented to them. And opportunity knocks, but you got to answer. And when you answer, you got to have a face of intent, a face of desire, and a face of success. And each of them has done so. So I think that preparation is critical. It doesn't come automatically. Doesn't come just by you being good or sharp, because there are a lot of good and sharp people out there, but you've got to study hard, make yourself available for the opportunities that come. And then, you know, communities, as one young lady said about not what you know, but who you know, obviously opportunity knocks best at your door if it's directed there as well. So we know most people don't get jobs or opportunities because they saw an ad in the paper or online. It's the informal network of communication and establishment you have through mentorship and through association. So when you're at places like this, you know, exchange information. I know y'all just what's your Instagram, we follow you there. Let me see you on LinkedIn. Let me get you up on, you know, whatever other medium is available that's unencrypted so your text cannot be discerned. As a side note, because we're constantly, you know, with an information bleed and drain. So you want to make sure that you're engaging people who are able to offer you opportunities, offer you the ability to intern in the summer, to be able to get a job, to also talk to them about what they did in order to get in the position they are, and starting now so that by the time you graduate, you've already lined up an opportunity for you to extend what you're doing. Then finally, I'd say, you know, we are part of a village. And in being part of a village, that means that we got to help folk who ain't our kids, who are not part of our school, who don't even necessarily live in the direct and immediate neighborhood, but you help somebody because you never know who you're helping. And you never know who you're helping become the best that they can become, right? You can't predict that. So the thing is, help everybody as much as possible. and help those students who have a great desire. And I'll end by saying this. There's some folk who are trying to contact me, they done tried for a year, and then they finally get through. And then they think it's worth it. I'm not suggesting it is, but, you know, because I'm busy, and there's a lot of people trying to holler at me, but the one that stands out is the one who doesn't take it personally. I know I've called you 97 times. I'll call you number 98 next week. And I go, really? You called me that? Oh yeah, you did, you know? And then so when you see that you want it bad enough to do what you gotta do to get into that position, that says a lot. That weeds you out from others who may not be as vigorous in their pursuit of it. But these young people got it all, and I'm so proud of them. I know you are as well.
Thank you, Dr. Dyson. Those are really powerful words and critical advice. I definitely have experienced some of that myself and needing to break into some of these relationships, network with people, and then when you get to certain spaces, remembering to reach back and to help other youth so that they're able to come up and create more opportunities for themselves. So we're gonna get a little more personal. So in your experience, and we'll start with you, Daniel. In your experience, do you feel your race or your ethnicity impacts the types of opportunities that you have access to? Yes or no?
One word.
One word, yes or no, and we'll pass it down the line. In your experience, do you feel that your race or your ethnicity impacts the types of opportunities that you have access to?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Okay, so yes, Alma, you said yes. What are some of the challenges that you've experienced being somebody that identifies as a person of color?
Being a person of color has limited my resources into finding mentorships that could offer me those positions of leaderships. So I've had to work hard to find those opportunities and find those connections and build upon those connections to be able to find those opportunities. Unlike other races, such as white people, they're giving it easily because they've been born into a society that have been given those resources so easily.
Marcus, do you have anything to add to that one in particular? Are there certain challenges that you've experienced that you can speak to that you believe may have been based on your race?
Well, as far as like being successful, I feel like it's more distractions with my race, as far as like the setting I'm in and having all the gangs and having all the sometimes financial parts. But it can be real hard to stay focused on one line and clear out all the negativity and clear out all the outside noise and stay focused, especially in the city that we live in, and especially when you have younger people looking up to you. So it's now I feel like you're back against the wall, and now you got to do this for more than just yourself. So I honestly do believe that our race has a lot to do with that.
Thank you. Lauryn, you also said yes. When you find yourself in these spaces, do you feel yourself trying to make any changes, or do you feel the need to be different in order to try to increase your chances of getting those opportunities?
Personally, sometimes I feel like in certain spaces I'll get a lot of imposter syndrome, which is basically like, if anyone doesn't know what it means, it's like where you know you worked hard to be at a table and you deserve every spot at that table, but just seeing yourself around people that don't look like you, they don't act like you, they don't believe in the same things as you, you feel like you don't deserve to be there. So sometimes, like me personally, I'll have to take a step back. Like remember how to navigate a space like that in certain instances. Just remember, like, I put in the work and I deserve to be here as equally as everyone else deserves to be here.
Daniel, is there anything that, I'll give a pause to that. Thank you, Lauryn. Daniel, is there anything that you would add to that in your experiences where you may feel like your race or your ethnicity may impact your opportunities? Are there certain, how do you handle it?
For example, I went to a PWI, predominantly white institute, and then just getting there, you kind of feel out of place. So by then, your mental is already just a little off, but not knowing anyone, not being able to really trust anyone that looks like you. It feels like you can't reach out to anybody. You can't ask for the resources that might be right there available to you, or if they aren't available, then trying to look for those resources becomes a challenge.
I'm so sorry. Like, I have a question for the rest of you guys. Like, in situations like that, have any of you guys ever felt like you experience culture shock, especially when you see people that don't look like you in different situations or spaces? I could define culture shock if needed.
I just personally, I think that like the way that I talk, or like the way that the humor that I have, I might not use it around those specific people because they don't get it or they don't look like me and they might judge me for it. So I think that's like one of the culture shocks that I get, and especially being around them for long periods of time, you kind of see like how they act and the things that they think is normal. You're kind of like, I've never seen that before.
I think my first culture shock happened on my first official visit, like going to PWI and not being able to use your type of slang and talk how you usually talk, and some things are not as funny and some things are not supposed to be said in some places. It happens, and it doesn't really like make you like nervous or anything like that, but it's like it definitely changes your perspective in the heat of the moment.
I definitely have experienced it, mostly with manners. I've seen that several other cultures have certain manners, and the way I was raised in my culture, it was very different. So when I like experienced like such as like talking back to parents, and I saw other cultures, how easily the parents took it, I experienced the fact that like my parents would never accept it. So when I experienced those, I was like, if I would go home and I did that, I would definitely not be alive to see it.
So currently work in the food industry and get all kinds of customers in the face every day. Hi, how may I help you? And sometimes those greetings are not going to be as friendly. It's not going to be those smiles back, wide-eyed, but you just kind of have to face it. No matter what other words you maybe use to describe you or get your attention, it's just kind of something you have to face and go on about your day. Nothing's wrong with you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming on stage, sharing your experiences, being vulnerable, and also for being willing to share that with others.
Our youth panel, there you go.